Good evening, everybody. And B'ezrat Hashem, we will continue our second session in learning the Maamar VEATO TETZAVE. Baruch Hashem, up until now, we covered first four oisias. Yeah, everybody could see comfortably?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Beautiful. So we mainly discussed a few questions that the Rebbe asked all the way in the beginning, and many of them were sorry, just gonna find the hey. Yeah, many of them we answered as we moved along, and one of the main dilemma that we are dealing with in this Maamar is why do we need Moshe Rabbeinu or tzaddikim that are on the caliber of Moshe Rabbeinu to bring this emunah, to such a level that it goes into pnimius. Yeah, like why do we really need to have Moshe Rabbeinu for it? Because truly, all the Yidden are ma'aminim b'nei ma'aminim, and do we really require an intermediary here? And this is where we pretty much left off last week, and we're gonna B'ezrat Hashem cover today. Hey, Vav, and Zayin. And next week we will complete the Maamar. If anybody has any questions, any suggestions, any insight, please please mention it. You could also write in chat, and we'll move on. It's an amazingly beautiful Maamar, and the answer to the question that we raised is pretty much coming in Eis Hey. So v'yesh levayer, and here we are to explain Zeh al pi hayidua, and here we are to explain this according to what is known. The Zeh sheYisrael ma'aminim be'elokus be'emunah pshuta, right? The fact that Yidden really have emunah in godliness with a simple faith, be'ein tzrichim ra'ayas al zeh, and do not need ra'ayas is backup explanations and proofs. Yeah, to have proofs on this. We don't need proofs that there's godliness. Umitzad shnei ta'amim. It just truly boils down to two explanations. Why is it like that? Okay, why is it? Lefi shemazaleu chazi, right? Because our mazel sees. Why is that we have this emunah? Why is that we are compelled to constantly seek Hashem in our lives? Is because our mazel sees. The neshama shelemala roa elokus, the neshama that are above, right? She sees godliness. And the Rebbe writes here in brackets, that this is seeing, which is above perception of the brain, perception of the mind. It's a higher than that. Okay. And this activates in the neshama, the way it's in the guf, to have emunah in elokus. So here the Rebbe is sharing a structure. So our neshama sees godliness in a way which is above understanding, above seichel. And because she sees and perceives godliness in such a profound way, she is able to transition this to the neshama, the way it's in the body. And for this reason, the neshama in the body has emunah, that there's a God in the world. Okay, because she has a very tangible experience up there. Then the Rebbe says there's another explanation. V'od biur. The shoyresh ha'emunahu mi'etzem haneshama. that the root of this emunah is not in the fact that because the neshama sees godliness, but it's also because of the essence of the neshama. Okay? Which means shelemala mimazal chazi, which is higher than the mazal seeing, meaning it's the level of neshama, which is the essence of the soul, and it's higher of the perception of the neshama that sees Hashem. It's a different type of connection. The fact that the neshama is connected to godliness, okay, it's an essential connection. What does this mean, essential connection versus something else? She'ena tluya b'siba, that the essential connection has absolutely no reasons. Why are you connected? Just because. There is no conceptual reason for this connection. There is no reason for that connection. It's an essential connection. That's by definition is higher than any reasoning, higher than any understanding, and higher than any seeing. It's a state of being. Okay, gam lo be'inyan ariyah shelemala me'asechel. This is even higher than the concept of seeing, which is above the brain, above the understanding. Okay, so we have two things here, right? One is believing because I'm seeing, right? Seeing is believing. Because my neshama mazal chazi, that's why I'm here in the guf has emunas about Hashem. The second one is an essential connection. Okay, v'yesh loimer. And we're here to say, the me'achilukim shebein shnei habiurim, right? That these differences between these two explanations, ha'inyanim, the ideas, who the emuna ba'aneshama hamalubeshet beguf haba miraya haneshama shelemala hi bebchinas makif, right? Let's read it again. The emuna that the neshama, the way she is enclosed in the body, comes from the seeing of the neshama that is above, is in the aspect of makif. Okay, meaning when we say that mazale chazi, right? What we really alluding to, that this is the level of the neshama where it's not the emunah, the realization, right? The emunah that a person has is above the seichel. It's not really permeated on the internal level, right? And in a state of makif, meaning my mazal sees, meaning the neshama sees, therefore it reaches into the body. Not in a full way, because our body don't see elikos, right? It's because our neshama sees, I see. So the fact that a neshama beguf has a emunah, it's more of a secondary component. It's not a primary component, right? Now, what happens when we discuss the essential connection? The kivan neshama shelemala hi lemala mislapshus, because the neshama that's above, that which is above, is higher than any hislapshus, right? It's higher than the enclosement in the body. Lachen poulas about neshama malabeshet beguf hi b'chinas makif. Okay, and therefore her impact that she has on the body is in the way of makif. What do you mean makif? Makif is not pnimi. It's not internalized. It's makif. Okay, it's there, but it's not internalized. Okay, why is it? Because the concept of a person having an emunah is coming from a place that my mazel sees. Okay. Okay. So now we have a dilemma. How is it possible that the fact that my neshama sees, that's why I have this emunah, how is it possible for me to internalize it in the guf? What's the solution? And in order that emunah, in the neshama, that the way it's enclosed in the body, that is going to be internalized, right? It's not just going to be, I know there's a God in the world, but I'm suffering. No, it's internalized emunah. Hu al yidei gilui hahiskashus atzmis de'etzem haneshama. Okay, and this is where the Chiddush is. This is where the Rebbe in this Maamar is really giving us answers. How is that we have access, okay, to our emunah that our neshama has in Hashem? It's through activating the essence of our neshama in the body. Okay, it's not through just knowing that there is emunah such exists. No. Why is it? Ki etzem neshama. Why we need to activate the essence of the neshama? Ki etzem neshama hi ha'etzem shel neshama amelubeshes b'guf. Because the etzem neshama, okay, it's also in the guf. When we are talking about the state of giluyim, the revelations, then there is a higher revelations, the way neshama sees things, and the guf we get like a shirayim, we get like leftovers, right? But when we're talking about to the essence of the neshama, it's revealed in the neshama just as it revealed in the guf. Okay, and no issues of the guf can prevent the revelation of the neshama. Okay, the helem that the guf has that prevents the neshama from getting revealed is not nageh for the etzem of the neshama. Compared to the etzem of the neshama, nothing stands in the way. Okay. So therefore, when we are working with our body, because obviously on the neshamas, they don't need any tikkunim, right? On the neshamas is godliness, amazing opportunities in Shemayim, in Gan Eden, wherever they are. They're having fun. They're not restricted by the body. The issue is the body, right? So when the neshama b'guf needs to experience imuna in a pneumius state, it does not. The only way to reveal it is through activating our etzem of the neshama. Balachein ha'imuna da neshama melubeshet b'guf, and therefore the imuna of the neshama, the way it's enclosed in the body, mitzad etzem neshama hi b'pnimiusa. Right? That's when the etzem of the neshama gets into pnimius. I'm sorry, the imuna gets into pnimius because of the etzem neshama, and etzem neshama is not the makiv, it's the pnimi. It's the most pnimi koyach that a person has. Okay? Right? And through this, we will start to understand the connections of the concept that are discussed in the Maamar. Ha'inyan the kosis lamar. This whole idea of why it says kosis lamar, right? Crushed for the ma'or, crushed for the luminary. Baba Hamshech, it comes in the continuation of the explanations of Bir Ha'inyan, the Raya Mehemna, right? Of Raya Mehemna, right? Our faithful shepherd. Right? As we discussed in earlier paragraphs, that the Moshe Rabbeinu, he provides us with emunah, that this emunah is going to be b'pnimis. So what did we just discuss? That the way, the tool, how are we activating on neshama, our emunah in pnimius is going to be through triggering the etzem on neshama. So now, who is that person who is assigned by Hashem, who has this task? This is the primary task of Moshe Rabbeinu, to make sure that the emunah of Bnei Israel is going to be b'pnimius. So al yedeshu megala it's etzem on neshama. So how the Rebbe does it is through revealing the essence of our neshama. That's all. Easy, right? Easy said than done. Right? That this is above the mazal chazi that the mazal sees. And it's amazing. Okay? So now we see connections, right? So our emunah is going to be b'pnimius in order for our emunah to be b'pnimius. Okay? We need to activate the atzem of our neshama, because the atzem of our neshama is the koach pnimi, is the innermost power of our soul. And for that, there is a special person assigned in every generation by Hashem, which is the Rebbe, to make sure that this emunah gets into pnimis. ומבאר במאמר, דבכדי להגיע למאור. So if you remember, it was kosis lamar. Shema Mazer Chazi, I'm sorry, I skipped the line. Okay, which is ma'or, shalemala mi'or. Why does it say kosis lema'or? Right? Because ma'or is higher than the light. So Hashem is really wants us to travel to a place which is higher than the light, which is the luminary. Okay. Omashikosif kosis lama'or. And why does it say it's a crushed for ma'or? Why, in order to reach to the level of ma'or, we have to go through a crushing process. Why we need to crush? Omavayer ba Maamar, right? And it explains in the Maamar, the bichdei lahagia leha ma'or, that in order for us to reach the level of ma'or, hu al yidei ha'inyan the kosis shebazman agolus, that we reach it through the kosis, through the crushing of the time of the golus. Oh, ikar gilui the etzem neshama. Why we need to go through the crushing? Because we have a goal to trigger the essence of our soul. And for some interesting reason, the triggering process, the access in the time of Golus to our essence of the neshama comes through the process of crushing. Right? So Gilu ha'etzem neshama ma'or hu be'inyan mesiras nefesh. It comes through a mesiras nefesh. Okay, so what is our crushing process? Our crushing process is that when we go through a mesiras nefesh. Okay, she'ikri hu b'zman ha'golus, that mainly activates in the time of the golus, for the lakman. And it's a very, very interesting dynamic that the Rebbe is bringing here. It's definitely, not the most pleasant dynamic, right? But at least there's a way. And we see with Yidden throughout the history, this mechanism is being activated, right? We live, a good life, more or less, peaceful life, okay? And then we get too comfortable, right? And we start thinking that everything what we gained is we gained because we were smart, because Yidden are smart. We gained because, of the honors that we have. We gain because of this and because of the other reason, right? We toilet whatever we access we contributed to other factors of the nature why we are like this. And then at that moment we see, Hashem distancing himself and things start not working out. And all of a sudden we get uptight. Oh my gosh, what's going on? This and that, right? Oh my gosh, ta-da-da. All of a sudden this one is activating this, the other one is doing this, and all of a sudden we have enemies. And punkt. Wow. This brings the unity among Bnei Israel, right? And the people are doing crazy things. They're doing Mesiras Nefesh. This is with Gilui and the Etzem and the Shama. It's interesting. If we are not actively consciously working on the revealing of the essence of the neshama through our pnimius dike avoda, then we start seeing things on the outside unfolding and forcing us in a way to bring this out, but it's more through unwanted events in the world. Does that sound like very familiar? If you study the Jewish history, it happened countless
very
times.
difficult. Just the only thing I say, like in Mitzrayim, we live in Israel, so it's time for us to have oil and to finish with the Yisurim. But it's true what you say. But I'm looking at the past. I don't want
Yeah, at the past. So the
enough.
rabbis are pretty much summarizing this dynamic.
Yes.
It's like it's happening over and over. The question is, how do we break the pattern? Right? It's like it's happening. Like even now, like after October 7th, it's a very similar situation. This is not new. We feel it new because it's happening in our times, right? And whatever happened in previous generations, we just read in books. So we don't have the same degree of relevance. But if we could just skip the personal involvement here and look historically, we have this dynamic happening over and over. That there is somebody or something from outside, right? It's an enemy. We have to have an enemy from outside, okay, causing discomfort to the Jewish nation, mildly speaking. Okay, Tzorer HaYehudim, right? That's causing us to access the Atzim of Anashama. And all of a sudden, when we are accessing the Atzim of Anashama, we have Achdos. We are fully, committed, and we do everything, whatever else we need to do, right? So that aspect is very, very interesting. So now the question is, how are we breaking the cycle? Do we really need to have somebody from outside to activate our desire to reveal the essence of our soul? I think that's just a rhetorical question that we could ask ourselves, is like, why do I need to wait for something on the outside to trigger my desire to be essentially close with Hashem by the revelation of my soul? Okay, let's just keep that question in mind, and we'll continue on the Vav. Va'inyahu, right? The idea is the Zesha Imuna de Israel, he ba'ofen, shehu moiser nafsh al zeh, right? And if we see that the Imuna of the Yid is in a way that he's ready to give up his life for this, who be'ikar be'imuna shemitzat etzem anashama, that mainly comes from the Imuna, from the essence of the soul. The Imuna mitzat zehu, the Imuna from this part, when it's triggered through the essence of the neshama, hu sheroe mazal chazi, that on one hand, it's the essence of his neshama, but he also sees, right? So it's a higher level of perception. The lower level would be only that I see. My Atzem neshama is not engaged. It's not triggered. And therefore, my Emunah is going to stay in a state of makif. Here, my Pneumius is engaged, and therefore I also see. Hagam shu makif, hagam shu b'tokiv godol. The fact that it's also it comes in a much more powerful way. Kiyidua. Why, when the Emunah is revealed through the essence of the soul, it comes in a much more powerful way? Okay, because it engages a whole person. It doesn't just engage a particular faculty that we have. It engages a whole person. That's why it's b'pnimius, because the essence is in the pnimius of everything. I cannot have my finger not having the essence of my soul. Every aspect of the person is permeated with this essence. It's not always revealed, but it's there. It's a fact. It says over here, kayadua dehi hit amtut, right? Shemitzad ha're'iya hi hitamtut g'dola b'yoser, right? That the fact that the belief that we have through seeing, right, is the belief on the highest level, right? That a person might say, like, okay, what's wrong with my mazali chazi, right? My mazali chazi sees. Seeing is believing, okay? Right? But because that his imuna is because of the reason, meaning there is a reason why you believe, because I saw. Okay? There is a reason for it. Mitzad zeh sheroeh, because he sees. It's not connected with the essence of his being. Okay? There is a reason for it. He doesn't have to give up his life for this, even if he saw. The Zesha Emunah de Israel, but the fact is that the Emunah in Bnei Israel is very, very different. The fact that the Emunah of the Israel, he ba'ofen shu moiser nafsh al zeh, that he gives up his life on this, It's because his emunah in godliness is his essence. Therefore, it's impossible that he will go against it. Is going to be engaging in kfir. Okay, so here it's another proof that truly, in essence, the fact that a Jew is giving up his life for his belief in Hashem is not because his neshama sees, mazal chazi, is because he's connected to it with his essence of the soul. And when that essence of the soul, that spark, gets revealed, he gives up, not because there's a reason. There is no reason. It's because it's me. That's it. It just, there is no reason. It's not contingent on anything. It's not contingent on, on the level of mental development, on the mental state. It's not contingent on understanding. It's not contingent on the state of being. Nothing. It just is. That's just what a true mitzvah of a Jew is. And when that's uncovered, it's very, very obvious. Right? And through this, now we could explain what is explained in this Maamar. Right? That Moshe is the faithful shepherd. That he provides us with emunah. That also not only pertaining to Moshe Rabbeinu back in the times of Yetzias Mitzrayim, but it's also to Moshe Rabbeinu of every generation. With Pashtuta, the Moshe B'chol Dor, right? Shehem machzikim as emunah de Yisrael, right? That they hold the emunah of Bnei Yisrael, sheyamdu b'mesirus nefesh b'kiyum Torah mitzvahs, that they will stand with mesirus nefesh in keeping the Torah mitzvahs. The l'chayra seemingly, zeh shemoshe zanu mafarnas as emunah, hu kamuvor b'kama makomos, v'gam b'mamar zeh atzmo, al yidei shemashpil Yisrael the et elokus, das elokus, be'elokus, I'm sorry, okay? That how is the Rebbeim, they reach the objective in providing us with this emunah, is that they give us an awareness of Hashem, das elokus, okay? How can I really believe in something if I'm not aware of it? Right? So the Rebbeim, they provide us with das elyon, right? With a higher dimension and higher awareness of Hashem. Shal yidei zeh bahe emunah b'pnimius. That through this, the emunah comes b'pnimius. Okay? V'zeh shero Yisrael. The fact that the shepherds of Israel, shebechol dor machzikim ha'emunah, okay, that they hold the emunah, hamavur b'Maamar, the way it's explained in this Maamar, hu she'emunah de Yisrael tiyeh ba'ofen de mesirus nefesh. What the goal is that the emunah of Bnei Yisrael is going to be in a way of mesirus nefesh. Okay, we see the connection, right? The emunah, the Rebbeim that are making sure that we keep that this emunah comes in pnimius through the accessing of our atom of the neshama, through our activating our das be'elokus, right? Our awareness in Hashem. And according to the above, there is to say that the main idea, the raya me'emna of the faithful shepherd, the fact that he actually provides the actual emunah. Okay, what does this mean? That the emunah is not going to be in the way of giluim. What do you mean the way of giluim? Meaning today I have the revelation and tomorrow I don't. Right? There is no stability when we're talking about giluim. It all depends on our engagement with that particular energy, right? When we're talking about emunah and my access, it's a constantly changing. When we're talking about the etzem and the shama, there is no change. It's a fact. Okay, mitzad zeh, because it's the same as with the concept. If I slept well and I ate well and I studied well, my understanding today is going to be on a higher level. Okay, because the revelation of my seichel, right? It's a gilui. Okay, but if conditions change and it's going to be exceptionally noisy here and hot and all kinds of things, I may not necessarily get this gilui because I am as a keli not suitable for this type of gilui at the moment. Okay, but when we're talking about the etzem, from the etzem perspective, it doesn't matter what gilui I have. It doesn't matter. I sleep, I'm awake, I'm tired, I'm hungry. It's a noisy place. It's not a noisy place. From the mitzvah, the etzem and the shama, I exist, and that's enough. Okay, mitzad zeh, through this, shaneshama shalemala roya lukus. What does this mean? That mitzad the giluyim, right? It's through mazal chazik, right? Through my mazal being able to see the elokus. But it says over here that's not what it is. Ela mitzad etzem neshama, but through the essence of the neshama. V'zeh Moshe mamshich es emunah b'pnimius, and the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu draws down the emunah b'pnimius, okay, which is badas v'asaga, that through awareness and understanding, it's interesting, right? We're accessing something which is above understanding, and we want to make sure that it leaches into our awareness and understanding. Okay, but who?
What do you mean what we are learning?
Right. So the whole goal is not just to be in a state of emunah for the sake of emunah, right? The whole idea, because we are working with our body, we are working with the koiches, right, of our body. So the way the information, the way an awareness is being drawn down when the neshama beguf is through the study. Okay, that's why Talmud Torah connected kulam, right? If a person is not enriching his awareness of Hashem through his understanding, the emunah cannot come into pnimius. Okay, it's going to stay in a state of makif. There's going to be always a dissonance. There's always going to be this separation between Hashem and the person's awareness. Okay, because ultimately a person is in a state of yesh, right? So emunah, it's theoretical, becomes to him. In order for emunah to be a practical experience, a person has to bring it in through his inner faculties. And the first inner faculties is his seichel and midis, right? If he's not bringing that awareness through his faculties, he is unable to process it. Yeah, for example, it's going to be like, okay, I have an apple in the refrigerator, but how's it benefiting me? Well, apple has a lot of vitamins and it's such an amazing fruit and you should be eating it every single day, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to be talking about this and it's in the way of makif. How can I bring it into pnimius is that I'm just going to take an apple. I don't need to know anything about an apple. I just need to know that it's good for me, right? I bite, I chew, and I swallow. That's how it becomes part of me, right? Everything, the rest, I could maybe put it on my cheek and maybe I could hold it. All that will not get the nutrients that I need from an apple into my body. I need to actually bite, chew, and swallow, right? That's concept. So the same thing is with emunah. Emunah could be like this nice, beautiful concept that my neshama sees, I see, everything is beautiful. Okay, how am I benefiting from it? It's through a certain process of internalization. And that process of internalization involves my seichel. It involves my das and hasaga, right? Me wanting to connect to it. This is the whole idea of das, as we learn from Shari Yechud, right? It's us understanding the importance of it, ability to dissolve in the process, and the hasaga and the actual grasping it. Okay, hu totzar shuhu zanu mefarnas ha'imuna atzma, right? The fact that he's able to process it in such a tangible way through his das and hasaga is the indication of Moshe Rabbeinu zanu mefarnas ha'imuna. He's bringing us the imuna itself, not just the giluyim. It sounds like very paradoxical, right? We are using the koichas of the giluyim to internalize the essence, right? That's where the paradox is. Okay, hamshachas v'gilui emuna kmo shehi mitzad etzem neshama, which is bringing down the gilui of the emuna the way it is in the essence of the neshama, right? You see that we're just really talking about the opposites here. We're talking about the gilui that the neshama has and threaded through the essence of the neshama. So basically, simply saying, we want to have the best of the both worlds.
Like the more higher goes more down.
Exactly. We want to have the best of the both worlds. On one hand, we want to have the highest of high, right? And we want to have it in the way of Giluim. Because you see, essence of the neshama is not naturally, is not in a state of essence. For example, when you see yourself in the morning, you don't say, "Hi, Mila, how are you?" You don't say that, right? That's just going to be a very, very strange thing to do. Why? Because the way we know ourselves from our essence is not in a way of ispilus, right? It's not in a way of excitement. A person doesn't feel excited to see themselves. A person doesn't feel excited to hold themselves. It's just not the same way of excitement. We relate to ourselves in a way of dveikus and hiskashrus, right? It's in the level of dveikus. It's an attachment. It's an internal attachment. The whole idea, okay, is to bring this revelation of the essence, okay, the gilui of the emunah kmo shehi mitzad etzem neshama. The gilui, right? It's in the way of gilui, okay, of the essence of the neshama. So it's like very paradoxical. Yeah. Okay. Have a canal sivhei. And as we explained above in the 5th paragraph, the hamshachas ha'emunah b'pnimius, b'das, right? That drawing down, manifesting this emunah in the pnimius, in the das, it's done through the gilui and the connection and the essential connection of the essence of the neshama. We can have it just in the gilui level. It's going to be makiv. If we really want the gilui to be essential and processed appropriately, so it comes in to all the aspects of our being, is through awakening the essence of the neshama. And through this is to say the bezeh shebahadoiris that during the times that we were required to have Mesiras Nefesh in actuality, Israel at Aimuna the Israel shetiyeh b'Mesiras Nefesh. Right, we see that the Rebbeim strengthened, right, Bnei Israel, that the Emunah should be with Mesiras Nefesh. Nidgala inyan deraya mehemna, right? It becomes revealed, this whole concept of the faithful shepherd, the inyan in this idea. Od yoser the Moshe atzmai, more than in the Moshe himself. This whole idea of raya mehemna, requesting Mesiras Nefesh during certain times of during the certain times of this this golus, okay, it is because it's even more than Moshe Rabbeinu, Because drawing down the revelation and the emunah of the emunah, the way it is from the essence of the neshama, that through the Moshe and the Itpashtut, the delay b'chodar, and the manifestations of Moshe in every single generation. Ikar is galus sahu Mesiras Nefesh b'poel. The main ikar of the his galus is in Mesiras Nefesh, in actuality. Okay. Vehina yidua, and it is known. Shemesiras Nefesh b'poel al yidei Torah mitzvahs al Torah mitzvahs shall call Israel haisa b'poelim. Right. We all know that the Mesiras Nefesh b'poel on all Torah of mitzvahs of all Bnei Israel was in Purim. That never happened ever in any portion of Jewish history. That the entire Jewish nation had a sakana to such an extent. Okay, Bezman Gzeres Haman. This was during the time of the Gzeres of Haman. And wow, what a hashgacha pratis. Today is Chav Gimel Sivan. When the scribes were invited, and Achashverosh told Mordechai to write the decree, whatever you wanted. And the Rebbe has this beautiful sikha, which I shared in one of our groups. It's very, very, worthy to read it, so we could prepare for this tremendous day of tremendous Yisraelus, and look at everything what's happening in the world. Right? It's all about Persia. Okay. Shamasiris Nefesh the Chanukah, right? Bezman Gzeres Yavan, right? And it's also the Mesiras Nefesh of Chanukah was a little bit different, right? In the time of Gzera of Yevanim, Haisa Beikar Be'Metityahu Vanov, right? The Mesiras Nefesh was mainly by Mesisyahu and his children, right? So it wasn't like all of Jewish nation. But Mesiras Nefesh Bezman Gzeras Haman Zayma B'chol Israel, and the Mesiras Nefesh in the time of Haman was in all of Israel. Every Jew had a Mesiras Nefesh. Right? It wasn't just the elite. It wasn't just the holy guys. It was everybody. And through this, we are here to explain. Mashemuva Maamar, that was brought down in Maamar, okay, Medrash. Shemardechai Haya Shakol B'Deira Kamosha B'Deira, right? Shakol B'Deira Kamosha B'Deira. Like Mordechai was like weighing as much as Moshe Rabbeinu was weighing in his generation. The Gam Sheitzpashtuta the Moshe Hu B'Chol Dor, that although the manifestation of Moshe Rabbeinu, which is in every generation, Mikal Makam Isa B'Medrash Mordechai Dafka Hayo Shakol B'Deira Kamosha B'Deira. But although we could say that in every generation there's Moshe Rabbeinu, right? But with Mordechai specifically, it mentions that he was weighing in his generation as much as Moshe Rabbeinu weighing in his generation. Ve'esh loymar, right? And there is to say, Shemalois, the Mordechai, HaYehudi hu shu haya raya mehemna, begilui, shall call Israel shabbadoirei. Now, the advantage that Mordechai had, right, in his generation, that he was the faithful shepherd, it was revealed that all of Israel, for all of Israel in his generation, it wasn't just, in the time of the Baal Shem Tov. We don't know who heard about Baal Shem Tov. Maybe there are some Yidden who didn't hear about the Baal Shem Tov. They were not openly connected to him, consciously connected to him. In a time of Purim, we had a situation where all of Bnei Israel, okay, had only one Rebbe. Let's say there was no machlokes, there was no thinking maybe this Rebbe, maybe that Rebbe is much better than the other one. There was no discussion. There was a full acceptance of, it's like in the times of Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Maybe there were the individuals who didn't like something that Moshe Rabbeinu did, but we're talking about a majority of the nation fully accepted it, right? But Dugmat Moshe, Raya Mehemna, in the way of Moshe Rabbeinu, which was the Raya Mehemna, the faithful shepherd, Shehim Shich Das Lekol Yisrael Shabbadoira. And what was the whole goal of Moshe Rabbeinu is to bring Das to all of Bnei Israel that are in his generation. Okay, and das is a very, very beautiful midah, right? This is our awareness of Hashem. כמובן גם מזה שדוירה של מוישה. And we also understand that this generation of Moshe Rabbeinu, kol anshe doire, nikra dordea, right? And we all know that all the people of Yitzes Mitzrayim, they are called dordea. Why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu made sure that all of them have das. Ela sheba Moshe haya gilu inyan zeh. But in Moshe Rabbeinu, he had the revelation of this level, of this aspect, Shu Rayamein b'chol Israel, that he is the Rayamein in all of Israel. Al yidei shemamshich das l'chol anshe deirei, is because through him this awareness of God came in all of his generation. L'chol anshe deirei. And this is like phenomenal, because I'm holding myself from not really deviating. We have 10 more minutes left. From the course of this study of the Maamar. But if you look around, there's a tremendous amount of awakening by Goyim, by non-Jews, about Hashem and about a lot of esoteric ideas that are discussed deeply in Kabbalah and Chassidus. And interestingly, they themselves have no concept why all of a sudden they are discovering these things. It's unbelievable to see where they're getting it from. This Maamar is very evident. This is what the Moshe Rabbeinu of our generation, his job is to bring awareness of Hashem l'chol anshe hadora, right, to all the people of his generation. It doesn't exclude only the Yidden. It's for everybody, whatever they're capable of absorbing. Okay. Mordechai haya gilui inyan ze al yedei shegila koach hamasiris nefesh b'chol anshe deirei, right? And the Mordechai, he was, revealing this idea through revealing the koach of the masiris nefesh that is in every person of his generation. Veishleimer, and they used to say the al yedei shemevi b'mar mashakazu b'medrash the Mordechai b'deir haya shokol k'masher b'deir, right? Al yedei psak ba'al ha'mamar es hadin al atzmo. That through fact that the Rebbe is learning, very interestingly, that the fact that the Frierdiker Rebbe, right, is talking and bringing in his Maamar, right, the Medrash about the Mordechai of his generation, right, was equal to Moshe Rabbeinu in his generation. Through this, he brings the Psak Din on himself. And this is something very, very beautiful. From this, we learn that whenever our Rebbe alludes something about the Frierdiker Rebbe, he's alluding to himself.
Where does it say that it's the Frierdiker Rebbe, or?
It says over here, Mevi Maamar.
I have a Maamar. I don't see the numbers. It says that it's the Frierdiker Rebbe.
Because we are analyzing the Frierdiker Rebbe's Maamar all the way from the beginning. Okay, let's go up. We'll see him. Right? Yeah, we're in Qatar. All the way in the beginning of the Maamar, right? Right here. V'yadua diyukim bazeh too, right? The b'chal tu and shabbatayra tarara.
Oh, the questions that he's saying are from the Frierdiker Rebbe's Maamar.
You see here?
Keep
right.
it.
It's right.
It's the Frierdiker Rebbe v'kibel.
Kabbalah Yehudim, yeah. Tafshin Pei Zayin, yeah. Okay. So the Rebbe constantly goes back. If you notice, he goes back to what the Frierdiker Rebbe explained there in the Maamar, and he explains it. He goes back and forth all the time throughout the Maamar. and what he brought in the Maamar back then, and he brought in the Maamar back then, and it's all about what the Frierdiker Rebbe brings in the Maamar. And the Rebbe says over here, and the fact that the Frierdiker Rebbe brought this about Mordechai and Moshe Rabbeinu, that itself, he proves it for himself.
Beautiful. Yeah.
ויש לומר על ידי שמביא במאמר מה שכתוב במדרש מרדכי בדורו היה שוקל כמו שבדורו, על ידי זה פסק בעל המאמר את הדין על עצמו. Right? And Rebbe has this nice footnote here. Right? שהוא ראיה מהמנה בגילוי של כל אנשי הדור. Right? And it's so interesting, but for the Rebbe, it was very, very essential to point out this diuk. Right? That through this, that now the Frierdiker Rebbe is alluding to himself, he made a psagdin on himself, that he is begilui raya mehemna of all anshe hadar. Okay. V'al derech hapirush b'loshen Mishnah, right? Always din v'cheshbon, din v'achar kacheshbon, right? The whole understanding of how we understand din v'cheshbon, right? We first do din, and then we do cheshbon, which is truly not the right order. We first investigate, which is the cheshbon, and then we paskin, right? Why it says din v'cheshbon? We don't say cheshbon v'din. Because truly, v'alpi divrei Mishnah, sham, okay, nifroi mimenu midata, what happens is that you first, okay, kind of ask him without him knowing, shalom midato, okay? And what he's paskin, that he puts together, okay, he puts a psagdin on his own situation, okay? So this is the thing. Shalacharei she'adam posek midato dino shel chavero. That when a person, puts a psagdin on, and he judges another person, his chaver, right? His posek din la'atzmoi. He judges himself in that particular situation. Shalom midato, without him even knowing it. That's why it says over here in the Mishnah that it's called din and then the cheshbon, right? That we first judge, okay, and then there's a cheshbon. But that's not the right order because we already judged. That's why the same measure which we use in judging somebody will be applied in our case. That's why judging is usually not such a great idea. Kivan she'o, at least we should judge favorably, right? Kivan she'al pi din ze osim cheshbon, that in accordance to this din, they do cheshbon, b'nagia la'matzavo, pertaining to his own matzav situation. Okay? So that's how he's applying this rule that's in the Mishnah to what the Frierdiker Rebbe did pertaining to Mordechai. Okay, so pertaining to Mordechai, he kind of judged, right, Mordechai, and said that Mordechai was the leader of the Jewish people. Okay, like Moshe Rabbeinu was the leader of Jewish people. So by him making the psagdin on Mordechai, he actually made the psagdin on himself. Okay, any questions? Now it would be amazing so I could at least see your beautiful faces by this point of the Maamar. That's it. We reached the Ches. Bezrat Hashem, next week we're going to do Ches, Tes, and Yud. And Yud Aleph, and Yud Beis. These are a little bit shorter ones.
I'm just going to say, I think it's so amazing how timely it is. Just keep thinking what you're reading, and it's just like everybody's aware of them. They're searching for Mantikador and the fact that it's like Iran and Persia and Mordechai, Dorov. It just seems like a very, very hopeful and very, whatever. It just gives us a lot of what's going on,
It's true. It's such Ashgacha Pratis, especially when we are talking about Chav Gimel Sivan, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Amazing. All together. Wow. Thank you.
Baruch Hashem, that we should, mamash, everybody see the full revelation of everything what the Rebbe promised us, should come fully revealed. And as the Rebbe is the one who is Zan Mefarnas as a Emunah to all Bnei Israel of our generation, and we could definitely see that happening. And we should really recognize in our awareness to our full capacity, recognize Hashem in all this. Because this is the hardest part. The hardest part is to recognize that everything what's happening in the world, literally everything, it's Hashgacha Pratis. It's not coincidence. It's not because Trump said this and Netanyahu said that. These are all kalim through which the events in the world are taking place. And this is not, this is the emunah, coming v'pnimius. And I think, at all parts of Jewish history, we need extra dose of emunah. It's not, we'll live on emunah as Yidden. Our whole life is emunah. It's just sometimes our brain, fakes us and makes us believe that things happening because of this guy and that guy. But Hashem wa Elokim, right? We say it on so many occasions that no, it's not because of anybody, it's because there's a divine plan and it's unfolding in front of us.
It's interesting. I just noticed that what the Rebbe says in the Maamar is, if I got it correctly, that the Raya Mehemna is strengthening the Emunah, and it expresses itself in different times in a different way. It could at times chizuk of Torah and mitzvot, and at other times inyan of Mesirut Nefesh. Is that correct?
It's in a way of Mesiras, in a way of chizuk of Torah mitzvahs, in a way of Mesiras Nefesh. It's not two separate things. We're strengthening Torah mitzvahs because Torah mitzvahs is how we express ourselves based on the will of Hashem, right? So Raya Mehemna ensures that it's aligned with our emunah through being b'pnimius, through revealing the etzem of our neshama, which is the Mesiras Nefesh. Does that make sense? Yeah. Sorry, did I answer your question?
I just thought he's differentiating between the two. It says over here, במשה היה גילוי עניין זה, by משה, the revelation of that he's רעי מהמנה, שהמשיך דעת לכל אנשי דורו. And במרדכי היה גילוי עניין זה, שגילה כוח המסירות נפש בכל אנשי דורו. It seemed to me that the רעי מהמנה is strengthening the אמונה, and it expresses itself here in עניין of דעת, here in עניין of מסירות נפש. It expresses it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it really depends on the needs of the generation.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Yes.
In
Yes.
different generations, it comes out whatever is needed.
Right.
But the full package, like ideal full package, is that there's an awareness of Hashem, right? That's when we draw the koach of the emunah b'pnimius.
Right.
And that is capable only when we reveal the essence of the neshama.
Yes.
And when the essence of the neshama is revealed, the byproduct of it is a Mesiras Nefesh. That we're able to just Meiser Nefesh because this is our essence.
Right.
So it's like kind of, it's true that, in one area, in one generation, we would need more this and the other more that, because the need is very different in every
The
generation.
expression is different in every
Right.
generation, right?
Right,
Wow.
right. For
Wow.
example, we see in the Frierdiker Rebbe's generation, we could say very much that it was Mesiras Nefesh.
Yeah.
In our generation, we see more das, right?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a different need, but both of them are triggering the essence of the neshama.
Or an expression
Yeah.
of the, yeah.
And also the goal is to trigger the essence. The goal is not to essence being triggered by the outside forces, right? Meaning there is Torah HaYudim that causing us pain, and we turn inwardly and we seek Hashem. That model is pretty much a Golus model. It happened all throughout the history, but if we look deeper into it, it's a pattern of Golus that throughout generations we happen to have a lot of it, right? You read Navi, Chumash Navi especially, Ksuvim, there's always that something is happening, all the Yidden feel, frightened, we get together, the mechanism of revelation of our neshama, the essence of our soul gets turned on, and then we have Achdus and we fight our enemy. It keeps repeating itself. It's the same scene, it's just different times, different decorations changing, the leadership and all that. I think the goal here is to activate from within without the external factors. Because the whole goal is the pneumius, the activating the pneumius. If we could only activate the pneumius without being triggered from outside, I think this is the key for Geula. Where we are self not sufficient, but it's self motivating. It's not the outside that's dictating what the course of the actions would be. Any questions? Any comments? If no, we will complete them. B'ezrat Hashem, come back next week to learn this, to complete the Maamar. B'ezrat Hashem.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Beseder. All the best. Thank you for joining, and we'll see each other next week.